about myself. At first glance, you might think, oh, what is this girl going to tell me? She probably don't know nothing about what I go through or how the way I live or where I'm from. Or, well, I'm going to surprise you all a little bit. First of all, I've spent 15 years living on the street in Kensington. But I'm going to get to that. First thing is first, I grew up with 4 sisters in New Jersey with my parents and my grandma and my grandpa. At 14 years old, my father beat the crap out of me and sent me to school. He broke my jaw, he broke my ribs, and he sent me to school that way. By the time I got home from school, 2 of my sisters were with one uncle, the other 2 with the other uncle. DHS had separated us. My father was in jail and nobody wanted me, so they sent me with my other grandpa, which is when my nightmare started because my aunt's boyfriend started molesting me, and he did this for the next 2 years. He brainwashed me into thinking if I told anybody, I would be the one who was made to leave and not him. I actually finally told him he was made to leave. School was a joke to me. I went when I wanted to. I started smoking weed and drinking because I wanted to be in the cool crowd. Started hanging out with the people from Camden. They would come pick me up, and that basically put me on the outside because my high school was all white, and I didn't hang out with the white people because they didn't like me and I didn't like them, so I hung out with the blacks and Puerto Ricans who came from Camden and picked me up, and that was just what it was. My house was the party house. We all got high, we all drank, and it was cool. My grandmom didn't mind. At the end of 10th grade, I picked up a chair, much like a chair that was connected to the desk, and I chucked it at my bio teacher because he called me an N-lover. So that started a summer of partying, drinking, having sex, basically doing whatever I wanted that resulted in getting pregnant. I had to go home and live with my parents because at this time they had been able to have a reunification with my sisters. They got my sisters back, and they got a place to live, and I ended up having to go back and live with them. So I had my daughter, but I had no type of feeling for her, so I gave her to my parents. I didn't want him. I didn't want to be a mom. I didn't want to have to take care of anybody. I wanted a party. I wanted to have my boyfriend around. I wanted to have my drugs, and my mom and dad took custody of her. The partying got really out of control. Out of control real fast. In our town, drugs came in waves. If somebody was doing coke, everybody was doing coke. Somebody was doing E, everybody was doing E. Somebody was smoking rock, everybody was smoking rock. And my house seemed to be where everybody was doing it. About 18, 19 years old, my mom found me and the boyfriend of the month doing heroin in my bathroom. I thought that I had found what I had always been looking for in that little blue bag. It filled up that hole inside of me that nothing had ever filled before. No man, no drug, no love had ever filled that hole inside of my heart like heroin did. When my mother caught me and him doing it in the bathroom, they kicked us out, rightfully so. So we didn't know what to do, but go to where the drugs were. So what do? We went to Canada. Man, oh man. Now we were at another level. He forced me into prostitution. And when I told him I wasn't going to do it, he beat the shit out of me. Excuse me. Knocked my teeth out. These teeth aren't real. These are dentures. He would beat into a pulp, and I mean until I was bloody, black, and blue. And then he started to sell drugs, only to get drugs, and then to steal drugs. We were chased up and down Broadway, we were shot at. I was beat up as well as he was beat up. I was raped in front of him for payback of him stealing someone's drugs. We were in Camden for a little while. We made our little way around Camden. And then we decided, well, we better get out of Camden because now we got people shooting at us. So we end up over in Kensington. Well, that was not kind of a good idea. It was not a good idea. Let me tell you how this man taught me how to panhandle. Walk up to any person in Center City with a straight face. Look these people in their eye. Tell them a story and not walk away without any money. I told you a story, you were giving me money. Because you were going to believe what I said. That's how good I was. That's how good I was. I wasn't walking away from you until you have money, until I got money from you in my pocket. That's how good I was. He taught me how to be a straight-faced liar. We started boosting out of the gallery. We were good. We ended up finding an abandoned house in Kensington, and we made it ours. We were shooting up, and I used his needle because I didn't know how to use a needle, so I was using his. And one day I walked into the abandoned house. He didn't hear me come in, so I watched what he was doing, and I watched him pick up a needle off the floor, squirt it out with water, and use it. So that stunned me, right? I walked right back out the abandoned house, went right to the mobile health van, and got tested for HIV. And found out I had HIV at 19 years old. If you were wondering what a face looks like that has HIV, it's right here. Me. I have HIV. I'm 34 years old. I've had HIV since I was 19. I wanted to die. I had some money stashed away. I went and bought a bundle and a half. I went to a different bando that he didn't know I knew about. I mixed it all up. And I shot it. And I went out. 2 days later, I woke up and I was pissed. I was pissed. Why? Because I was alive. I was mad because I was alive. I wanted to die so bad. And that was not the first time I tried to kill myself. That was the first time I tried to kill myself. Over the years, I've tried many more times. Different ways. Razors. Put a gun in my head, I didn't have the balls to do it. Contemplated jumping in front of the L. So anyhow, so I'm prostituting in Kensington now because he's still forcing me. And now I have HIV. And let me tell you something, today, in my mind, I ask God every single time I pray to forgive me, to forgive me. Because I don't know if or who I might have hurt out there. And I ask God to forgive me every day. So anyhow, so we got tired of Kensington, same MO, we started stealing the drugs. We ended up in Brooklyn. We would go to Times Square, have some money, $400 or $500, go to Brooklyn. Buy our drugs, do our drugs. When they ran out, go back to Times Square. Well, one time we didn't have any money and we stole some drugs, a lot of drugs. This seems to be a pattern, right? This is a pattern. This is the pattern of the junkie. This is a junkie's life. I was a junkie. Was a junkie. We stole this guy's drugs and then thought we could go back and get more from him, right? In Brooklyn. Duh, you're not supposed to do that shit, right? We go back to Brooklyn. They take us to the 17th floor of the projects and chained us to a radiator, where I got raped repeatedly, and they beat the shit out of him every single day. For 2 weeks. I don't know how he got out, but he was able to get out and get out of the house. And 2 days later, the New York SWAT team busted the door down, throwing these smoke bombs. They arrested the guys and got me out of there, and we hightailed it back to Kinston. Now, I could sit here and tell you guys a lot of stories, but I'm going to tell you this. Not everybody who does this and lives this life makes it out of there. I'm 34, and I started using when I was young. I have had 47 people, 47 of my friends die from drugs. 47. That's more people than how old I am. 47. Okay. Me, I've overdosed 14 times. 14 times. And I'm living to tell about it. Who does that? Who overdoses 14 times and is still here but me? Let me tell you a little something. My sister, I have 4 sisters, I told you guys that. My sister right after me, she was the responsible sister, the one that raised my daughter, the one that was my daughter's mother. Had an awesome job, worked there for 14 years. She decided to give up. She started using. She used for 1 year. And on April 6th, she died from a heart attack induced from drugs. She used for 1 year. I used for 15 years. How dare God take her from me, was my first thought. How dare he take her after 1 year and leave me here to suffer? Leave me here to suffer and take her. Why? That was my thought. Why? Now, I believe God does everything for a purpose. My sister had given up. I am a fighter. That's what I can see when I look at you guys. I see fighters. I don't know what area of Philadelphia or where you guys come from. But this is real, y'all. Like, the shit is real. The struggle is real. Okay? It is out there. Everywhere you walk. I walk down the street, I hear Zannies, rock, her, dope. Just walking down the street. Real. This stuff is real. Like, man, like, I just wish that there was something that I could do to take all of that away, because the people that are coming up now just have no idea. Like I said, I was overdosed 14 times. Out of those 14 times, I literally died 5 times. They brought me back 5 times from being flatlined. I mentioned I was in a coma for 6 days. I was in a coma for 6 days. They were unplugging me the next day, and I woke up on the 6th day. I woke up. I've been raped 13 times. Gang raped by 3 men once. All right, let's talk about jail. Jail, my home away from home. I've been to jail 31 times. 31 times. Don't ask me how I never got sent upstate. That was only God. I don't know how that happened. That was only God. Thank you, God. But I've been locked up 31 times. When you're on the street and you get caught cocking, where do you go? Jail. When you're on the street on the corner, where do you go? You get caught. Jail. When you miss your VOP, court, or you miss your trial date, where do you go? Jail. And you don't want to go. You hate, you're pissed off. Okay, now you've been up for 8 days, you haven't slept, you haven't eaten, you haven't showered, you're on a basic animalistic level, then they're done that. I have pulled the paddy wagon over and given them my PP number and asked them to run it to see if I had a warrant. Begged them to run it to see if I had a warrant. Just so I could get arrested. So I could go to jail. So I could sleep. That life is not, this shit is not a game. Listen, people who are out there, let me say this. Being out there on the street is the loneliest existence that there is. Because you could be walking down the street and people, they just don't see you. They don't see you. They look at you, but they don't see you. I don't know if anybody understands what I'm trying to say. Like, you're not visible to them. To them, you're just not there, you know? I survived 15 winters in a bandos with no windows. You know how cold that is? I mean, it's harsh. Life in jail. None of you have been to jail, right? That's what I mean. Life in jail is not fun. When they say 3 hots in a cot, that's basically what you get. You get a mattress to put on a steel frame mattress, a wool army blanket that if you pull it up, it can make your hair fall out. You get this food, disgusting food, disgusting. Everything's in beans. You live off of bread. You sit and watch TV all day. There's nothing to do. It's not fun. Basically, the point that I'm trying to tell you guys is this. If anybody is like going down the path of like thinking about selling drugs or thinking about like trying drugs, or if you already are doing drugs, you know what I mean? Like, stop that. Stop it before you turn into something you don't want to be. Like, my goal is not to sit up here and like tell y'all what's happening.
Class change.
Let's just go for class.
My point is not to sit up here and tell you guys to I'll tell you all about me. And be like, oh, I'm so cool, look what I made it through. That's not the point. The point is like to try to catch you before you start doing things that could lead you down a path of like where I ended up. Because trust me, at 16, how old are you guys, like 16, 17, 18? At that age, I never thought I'd end up where I'm at. I never thought I'd end up living the way I'm living now. You know? Like, I never thought I'd be a junkie. I never thought I'd have HIV. I never thought that my daughter would be 17 and just now start speaking to me. I never ever wanted this. And I never ever would wish this on my worst enemy. But I accept it in my life today because it's who I am. When I go to jail, praise be to God, I haven't been to jail in 3 years. But when I go into jail, or when I go into like a rehab or a detox facility or anything, when I go into any kind of program or anything, the very first thing that I do is I tell the people that are there, listen, I have HIV. I'm not embarrassed or ashamed. I tell the people because it is a necessity for the people that I live with to know that. In case I cut my finger or bump my head and start bleeding, it's a necessity. And I don't hide it because I'm not ashamed. I actually wear it as who I am. It's who I am. It's been a part of me since I was 19. I'm 34. It's who I am, you know? And some people are probably thinking, oh my God, I can't believe she just said that in front of all these people. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I really did, because it's me, you know? And the way that I chose to live is the way that I'm telling you guys it's not worth it. You guys might smoke a little bit of weed now and then and think that that's cool, it's only weed, weed's not a drug. Let me just tell you, you know when people say, weed is a gateway drug, and then man, weed ain't no gateway drug. Listen, it is a gateway drug. I'm sitting here telling y'all that it is a gateway drug, okay? Because weed is gonna get to the point where it's not enough to get you high anymore, and you're gonna go to the next thing, okay? And I am living proof sitting here telling you that you're gonna want something else after that. I don't really want to sound like I'm preaching to you guys. I'm just letting you know, like, the streets are not for you at all. The streets are not for you.
Sir, can you talk about doing one bag of dope, how it leads to 2 or 3? And can you talk about how getting high on heroin is about not getting high, about how it's not getting sick?
Okay.
And also talk about heroin withdrawal.
Okay. Heroin withdrawal is the worst feeling, okay? When you have a habit and you don't have any more heroin, you can't sustain your habit, you start to go through withdrawal. The first thing that happens is you start getting your stomach cramps. You crunch your body up into like the fetal position, your stomach starts locking up. You get diarrhea. Your back, it feels like somebody's taking a knife and they're screwing your back together. You start sweating profusely, but you're shivering, you're cold. You're under a blanket, maybe 2 blankets, because you're so cold, but you're so hot. I can't do it this leg, but the worst thing is the leg kicks, constant. And all you want to do is sleep, and your leg won't stop kicking. Your legs, it's called kicking legs, and they won't stop, and they just keep going and going and going. And they won't stop. And you're crying in agony because, oh my God, it hurts, make it stop. And you're just, back and forth, and you can't lay down, and you can't stand up. It's not fun. It is bad, okay? Bad. I'm just telling everybody, like, if you do dope, that's gonna happen to you. Because the minute you run out of heroin, that's gonna happen to you. And the other thing is, when you start doing dope and you start at 1 bag, and you keep it at 1 bag, okay, now that's not enough to get you high anymore, so now you need 2 bags. So as soon as the amount of dope that you're using isn't enough for you to get high anymore, you're gonna keep increasing the amount of bags that you're doing. When you get to a point that you are increasing, and say you're up to 3, well now you're not high anymore, you're only doing enough to get you well. Meaning, let's say me, I'm doing 3 bags of dope. 3 bags of dope got me high last week, but now 3 bags of dope is making me normal, meaning I'm just getting well. 3 bags of dope is just making me well enough to sit here and talk to you guys. Whereas last week, 3 bags of dope made me high. Do you understand? So the increase of the heroin that you have to do keeps going and going and going, leading you higher and higher and higher in the amount of heroin that you have to do, making the withdrawal worse and worse and worse. Because the more heroin you do, the worse the withdrawal is going to be. Go ahead, Joe.
Sir, if you can you speak a little bit about your mindset when you were with your boyfriend, how long you were with him, the boyfriend who forced you into prostitution, how that evolved from the beginning into that point?
Yeah, his name was Cisco. In the beginning, we were boyfriend and girlfriend, in the beginning. And I wanted to do anything for him, okay? I'd hate to say like brainwashing, because everybody makes their own decisions. But when you're with somebody, you want to do anything for that person to make them happy. But the drugs had come in and started to take play in this. And it got to the physical part, like, he would hurt me so bad physically. Like, I would be scared, you know what I mean? Like, I was scared. And I was scared. I was scared. And, you know, we were together for about seven years. And I'll tell you, the last time that we were together, I stayed gone for about 4 hours. And when I came back, he grabbed my hair, and I turned around, and I punched him in the face, and I threw 4 bags of dope at him. And I said, no, that's the last thing you'll ever get from me. And I walked in one direction, he walked in the other direction, I haven't seen him since. So, yeah. And I think that was the best decision I ever made, because I got away from him, but I still remained on the streets. You know, he had me terrified to say no to him for anything.
Can you speak about your faith and how your life was saved on multiple occasions, right on the street corner?
Yes. Oh my goodness, this is great. First of all, is this a public school? Can I speak about faith for a second? Okay. Anybody have any reason? No? Okay. All right, so I got baptized last August, okay? And it felt really, really nice to be able to, like, get some faith, you know what I mean? Because all these years I'm thinking God is gonna, like, condemn me because of the stuff that I was doing. Before that happened, when I was in Kensington on the Avenue, there was this one time I was standing on this one corner. This lady came up to me and she said, you know, God wanted me to give this to you. And she tried to hand me like a tract, a Bible tract, and I told her, Miss, can you please move up? You know, I'm trying to be messing up my money. So she walked away. 2 seconds later, she came back and she said, here, God told me to give this to you. And I thought she was giving me a tract, but I looked down and it was a $20 bill. So I was like, yeah, you know, because I was sick. So I went and ran across the street. 2 seconds later, a car spun out of control and ran up right in the corner where I was just standing there. If I would have been standing there, I would have been crushed. Okay? That was the first thing. That, to me, she was an angel. She got me away from being, I would have been crushed by that car. My faith today is so strong. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be sitting here, because who can live through all that I've lived through and be here? I mean, I'm not trying to just say, like, I'm not bragging, but my life has been very difficult. You know, I've been through a lot of hard times. You know, not a lot of people would be able to do and go through the things that I went through and make it out alive. You know, and for me, the faith that I have gets me through every single day. You know, because at any given time, I could have, you know, a memory or a flashback, or, I mean, it happens. And when that happens, I just pray. I pray to get past it. You know, because it's hard. It's hard when that happens. You know, and the only reason that I was able to come to my knees and realize that it was time to stop was because God allowed me that very point, that very time, to realize that it's time. This is the time to stop.
How much time have you served in prison?
Throughout my life, since I was 18, about 5 years. Yeah.
And what was your experience like the first time you had to stay there for a while?
First time I was in jail was awful. My first time in jail was 9 months, and it was terrible because I didn't know anything about jail because I was never there, and I was only 18, and I didn't know anything about the Bible. I just saw these people going to church, you know, and I didn't know anything about how it is in jail, you know, and like it was awful for me, you know. I was lonely, you know, and I was scared. I was a little girl, basically. I was for my first time in jail. I was one of the youngest people in my unit, you know, and, but I do have to say, as I was getting older and the more I went to jail, I started reading the Bible. I do have to tell you, I started reading, and once I realized that, like, I had someone to talk to all the time, meaning God. I wasn't alone. Like, my cellie could leave out the room and I could read, and I wasn't by myself, you know? It feels good to, it feels good to have that, you know, that comfort that, you know, is with you all the time, you know?
Sarah, having being kicked out of high school in 10th grade, how important is it, do you believe, for these guys to get a
Oh
high
my
school degree?
goodness, listen, I have made such a big mistake. I'm 34, okay? I am, my first goal that I'm gonna start doing right now, because I just moved from the program and I just moved back home, and I wanna say, my very first goal right now is to get my GED, and I'm gonna tell you, just stay in, what grade are you guys on now? 11, 12, something like that? 10? Stay in school and graduate. I'm not even gonna have to, like, tell you, I am gonna tell you guys again. Stay in school and graduate, because it was so hard. I'm 34 and I have to go get my GED. Like, I don't remember what you guys are learning now, probably. Like, I don't remember this stuff. Like, I have to, like, relearn it all. I have to restudy it all, you know? And a GED, like, I didn't want a GED. I wanted a diploma. And every single day I regret the fact that, like, I don't have one. You know what I mean? I should have gone right back and gotten it, but partying was more important for me. So I'm telling you guys, like, just stay in school, pay attention, you know, like, do your work, study and all that good stuff. Like, get it and do it now while you're in school, because it's really important. And let me tell you something, out there in the job field, you're not gonna get no job without a diploma or a GED. Matter of fact, you ain't gonna get no job without a diploma. A GED is really hard to get a job right now. Like, seriously, places are really, really hard to get a job without a diploma. Like, you really need that in life. I mean, I'm serious. And right now you're in school, like, do it now while you're here. I'm like 18 years later, and I have to, like, relearn all this. I have to talk to my daughter to tell me, to tutor me about the stuff that's in school now. You know, like, it's really important. Like, get your education now, go to college, like, make something of yourself. When I was younger, I wanted to be something, you know, and now at 34, I have all these plans in my head, you know. I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it a lot later in life. But it's easier if you do it now. It really is. Does anybody have any questions? No?
How scary is it on the streets in Kensington? And is there ever a point that it became you?
Yes, it's very scary on the streets in Kensington. What's scary is the fact that after being out there for a little while, it's normal. That's what's scary. What's scary is the fact that to walk down the street and see somebody sitting on the step, completely nodded, and wondering if they're dead or alive. And then trying to go and check on them, and somebody saying, "Oh, don't worry about him, he's nodding." You know, like, that's scary. What's scary is little kids walking around there, and there's needles in the street. What's scary is getting so used to it that you don't even see it as scary. Like, I used to stand on the corner at 2 o'clock in the morning by myself at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it wasn't no problem. Like, no, it wasn't scary. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't an issue. Like, I would stand on the corner at 2, 3, 4 in the morning in the pitch black by myself, and I wasn't scared. That's scary. Now, like, when I think about that now, like, okay, yeah, I could have been shot, I could have been killed, or whatever, and none of it even happened across my mind at that time. That's what's scary. And you become part of, like, the scenery. You become part of the scenery. Like, now that I'm sober, I was living in the recovery house on Allegheny in Frankfurt. So it was a little bit, away from down there. And we would ride through Kensington to go to IOP. And with sober eyes, I would see everything, And riding down there and looking around and seeing the abandoned house with no windows, the abandoned house with glass windows, the people nodded out on the step, the person buying a bag of dope, the person over here howling at that person over there, the person over there running from that person over there. And I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like, I'm so, like, astounded by the fact that, like, I was part of that whole thing. Like, I see it, and it makes me, like, I just can't believe it, that I was in that. You see it with clear and sober eyes, and you can't believe it, It's crazy. It's really crazy. I'm just telling you guys, like, I kept it completely real with you guys, like, none of this is exaggerated, this is completely real. Everything I told you guys is everything I've been through. I could sit here 5 more hours and keep talking and talking and talking. But, I mean, if you guys get anything out of what I told you, the most important is stay in school, get your diploma, don't do drugs. Don't think it's just something to do on the weekend, because it's not. It will turn into something to do every day. Stay focused. Make something of your lives. Because there's nothing out there. I'm telling you. I was out there 15 years. There's nothing out there. Let me picture this, all right? Me. I was 90 pounds. I was 90. I was about her size. Yeah, I was small. Yeah. So there's nothing out there at all. Just do what you gotta do. Stay focused and stay in school, right? Please. Thanks everybody for listening.
You guys have any questions to share at all? No, nothing? How many bags of dope were you up to, your peak?
14.
14 a day?
How much is that?
$10 a bag. I was getting 18 20, so 2 free.
So you were maintaining that habit by panhandling, stealing?
Panhandling, boosting, prostituting. Yeah. Whatever I had to. Yeah. It didn't, I would buy that amount in the morning. I would separate it for the day, like 14 I would take like 5 in the morning, 5 in the afternoon, and then keep the other 4 for the night. Yeah. If I was really lucky, I'd be able to do all of them, do some more days. That didn't happen often.
So can you just speak about how in your change of life, how your friends have changed and your circle of people around you? What was it then? What is it today? And how do you feel about your new circle?
Obviously, my circle of friends when I was in Kensington was people who I would get high with, and you would just get high and then roll, or meet me. I'll have this money and I'll share this, you share that, and that would be the extent of our friendship. The friends that I have now are basically a lot different, there are people that I can call and talk to when there is something bothering me for real, and they'll listen, they'll actually listen, and it won't bother them that I'm upset, and they'll talk to me, and they'll give me advice, and they'll tell me, what's good about that or what's bad about something, And like my best friend is one of my sisters, after my one sister died, the rest of us kind of got really close. And we're just working on our relationships, My circle now, I like to keep it small, because I gotta worry about me and my child, so I don't wanna have to worry about so many people, you know what I mean? I just want my circle nice and small, And I like the people that are in my circle. We don't have, drugs, you don't realize that it's such a big deal, you know what I mean? Like, even in a circle of friends, you don't realize that drugs play such a big deal, such a major role in your friendship, until you're not in a friendship without drugs. And that's when you realize you're like, wow, that was such a, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Can you speak about how we met actually at the Redemption Home?
Yes, there is a recovery house at Allegheny in Frankfurt. It's a really nice house. It's called Redemption House. And Joe Montoon comes in for a program called the Wings program. Winning, I forget what it stands for. What's it stand for?
Winning Ideas Nurturing Growth and Success.
Yeah, that. Winning ideas.
Wings.
Nurturing growth and success. Wings. Anyway, so he comes in and he does this program. And I was at the house, and that's how I met Joe Montoon. He came every other Tuesday. And I guess it's like when you're in jail or you're in recovery, you're in like a rehab or whatever, and then you go to the next phase, like a recovery house or stuff. That's your next phase, but then what happens? So like, you're in a recovery house, but then what happens? You can't just go back to the street, you have to know what is your next step. That way you can make a life. You have to know where you stand, You have to know, well, where are you gonna live? What are you gonna do for work? How are you gonna set your life up, right? How are you gonna set your life up? And so that's how I met Joe. And I was privileged to be able to do a radio show a couple weeks ago. I did my testimony on the radio. And now I'm here talking to you guys. It's just really important for me to tell my story to people, because if I can help one person, to not turn in any kind of way like me, then I've helped somebody, and that's what I want to do. I want to help people. I want to help people realize that there's more to life than drugs, So.
While we're waiting for more questions, Jeanette's going to pass out a piece of paper for the students, a survey. There's a front and back. Please fill it out honestly. We have pens. Take your time. Take your time and fill it out. Don't rush because we're not done yet. While she's filling it out, do any of the students have questions? Did we already try that? There'll be time to talk privately, but any students have a question? I know you have a question. Someone else has that same question. Anyone willing to ask it?
You guys can ask me anything. I'm not embarrassed or nothing. You guys can ask me questions.
And Mr. Gautier has a question.
Sarah in the top of that.
When did you realize?
Write Sarah. Write the name Sarah on top.
I think it started becoming important.
S-A-R-A-H, right down on top. Write it on top.
Last November, because she, right there on the hospital with injections, it was so part-time. And when I got to the hospital, she said, Mom, she's grabbing me, she's hugging me. And I realized that I didn't think she wanted me in her life. So I really didn't want to talk. You know what I mean? Yeah, and we were kind of like sisters. Like we were cool sisters, you know what I mean? We were fighting like sisters. And when she hugged me and she said, Mom, it made me feel like she wanted me as a mom for the very first time. So that's when I started realizing I had to put a plan in action, and I had to come along, you know, and I started doing things for her. I started calling her, she started calling me, we started talking, and now, we talk every day. She calls me every day. You know, she calls me mother, she calls my mom, she calls my mother. And, you know, her father is in Florida now, he's never married, but they call him from now, he's in Florida. And, things are fine. So blessed. So blessed, yeah.
Any other questions? This is your chance.
Sarah,
Hold on to the paper, let's get your ticket out the door.
if you
So
would,
hang on to it, don't pass it to anybody.
could you speak about the driver's license that you never got?
Oh, the driver's license I never got. Well, that's about though too, considering I took my friend's car and drove it on railroad tracks and hit the pole. And never got my, what do they give you before the license? Yeah, I never got one of those. And then they took my license for a couple of years. And so I've never had a license or a permit. And that's gonna be my next goal after the GED. It's really important for me to put pieces of my life together. See, my father said to me a couple of years ago, what are you gonna do? Have your legend be, your legacy be, that you were a junkie whore with HIV on the street for your daughter? And that was when me and my dad were fighting one time. And I thought to myself, you know, even though it was very rude the way he said it, like, he's right though. Like, what is she gonna be able to say about me, you know? So now that I have some legitimate time that's sober, I really do want to start putting pieces of my life together. You know, my GED, my license, get my, get my hip fixed. I want to start, after my GED, maybe take classes at the CCC, like you were, telling me about Kevin, and really start making something of myself. Because I might have taken some time off and screwed up, but I'm not screwed up now. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to making something out of myself.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd like to make a comment. In the Wings program, it doesn't matter where you've been, what matters most is where you're going. And Sarah's, done a tremendous job this morning talking about where she's been. And where she's going is education, licenses, behavioral health counselor, using that street experience with formal education to help turn lives around. And then beyond that, making amends with her daughter, building strong family, and that's all powerful stuff. You've got years ahead of you, decades ahead of you to make an impact on people as you're doing right here this morning. And that's why you're here this morning. And and that's a beautiful thing that you're here today to support the Wingsmen and Wingswomen program here at Pennsbury.
Thank you.
I admired that, even though your dad said it in anger, not nice at all, very ugly thing to say, that you used it for good. And you said, I am going to do it. And you don't have to have had a drug and alcohol issue to say, I just want my life to be different.
Yeah.
I had trouble with anger, I had trouble with whatever, and I'm just going to start now rather than going through all that.
Yes.
So that is
Thank
very.
you.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think if he wouldn't have said it so harshly, or he wouldn't have said it in the midst of anger or of a fight, maybe that message wouldn't have hit home, do you think? Or do you think if he would have sat you down when you guys were on good terms and spoke
No.
about it nicely, do you think it would have just...
No, I don't think so. I think my father has a way with me, he always has. And when I was little, my grandfather used to tell me, you better wise up or you're going to end up in the school of hard knocks. And I always said, well, where's that at? And, I always had that in the back of my mind. I always that's true, but why do I always end up there? And my father has always been real stern towards me, and if he would have been like, well, you know what, Sarah, I don't think it would have made that impression. he didn't have to choose the words he said, but I think the way that he did say it really put the light under my behind, you know, but it took me, that was a couple of years ago. But certain things I hold on to in my head.
Planting the seed.
Yeah. And, that was one of the things that he said that I always held on to, you know. And finally, I'm at the point where, like, I'm ready. I wasn't ready 3 years ago. I wouldn't have been able to do this 3 years ago. I was a mess, you know, but every individual is different. And, you know, an addict truly has to come to a point of being totally defeated, totally all the way completely done, you know, and completely out of ideas and moves and motives and all the way done before they'll stop.